Hi everyone, it's me. So this week I wanted to talk about packing for a big move. I get a lot of questions from expats either that are going to move to England or maybe just move abroad in general, and they all tend to ask, what should I bring and what should I just buy? So I thought I'd share some of the things that I did when I first moved to England from Canada and maybe some tips to help you pack, because it is a big move, it's really difficult, it's hard. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, so where do you start? For my situation specifically, I moved to England to be with somebody, so I knew exactly where I was going to be living. That makes a really big difference. If you are moving country to be with somebody, whether it's a partner or a family member or a friend or whatever, if you're moving somewhere and you know where you're going to be living, that makes a big difference versus you're moving to a new country, you don't know anybody there, you don't know where you're going to be living. That really will influence the type of luggage you're going to be able to bring. So because I was moving in with someone straight away, I knew where I was going to be living. I was going to have help getting picked up at the airport, so it wasn't just going to be by myself. I brought a checked bag, which was included in my flight. I paid for a second checked bag, and I paid for my luggage to be overweight. So I was basically like, I'm going to bring as much as I can physically shove into these two giant bags, and I'm going to take the extra money for the weight, and I'm just going to bring as much as I can fit. Now, if you are moving to a new country and you don't have a place to live yet, you need to be really careful about what type of stuff you're going to have with you. Because the main thing is you are going to need to be able to handle your own luggage yourself. I know it sounds really sort of dumb, like obviously you should be able to handle your own luggage, but when you're going to the airport in your home country, maybe you're with a parent or a sibling and they help you get your bags, you know, on the checked thing, and they help you get rid of them. But you have to remember, on the other side, you're going to be by yourself and you have to be able to carry your own luggage, be able to lift those bags. So if you make them really heavy, you got to be able to lift them. And you just need to be able to manage all the stuff that you're going to pack. So you're going to need to be lighter. Also, if you're flying in, say, to Heathrow, you're going into Heathrow, you can take the tube into London, or maybe you're going to Gatwick and you can take the Gatwick Express, which is a special train. You have to be able to get your luggage from the arrivals into that train or that tube, and sometimes it can be very difficult. There's might be stairs, you might have to find an elevator. You can't find an elevator, you gotta carry it. So just be very careful about how much you're bringing and that you can manage it by yourself. Now, there are ways around this, ways that you can be creative with your luggage. So for me personally, I overloaded my bags, right? I paid for the extra weight allowance. I just stuffed them full. And then the next time I went back to Canada, my suitcase was almost empty. And when I came back to England, I filled it up with more stuff. So every time I went home, I brought a little bit more back to England. Or if my mom came to visit, she would put some of my stuff in her suitcase that I specifically asked for and bring that over as well. The cost to ship between the two countries can be absolutely ridiculous. So you need to find creative ways to get around that. What I've also had other people do is when you first move over, either to England or to any country, have a friend come with you, or maybe a parent. So, I mean, it's very scary, obviously, so it's nice having that person with you. However, their suitcase is only half of their stuff, and the other half is your stuff. So while you're coming over with a partner, a friend, a parent, whatever, they're also bringing some of your stuff as well. So you get a little bit more over through their bags. Other than that, you could also, so say you're moving abroad, you don't know where you're living, so it's just kind of up in the air, you bring just like the minimal stuff, just the stuff that you absolutely have to have that you don't want to replace right away. What you can do is once you have a flat or a house or an apartment, whatever, then have a friend or a parent or a partner or whoever come over to visit you, help you get settled, help you unpack, help you make your place like a little bit more homey, and as well, they can bring over some of your stuff without having to rebuy it. Now, in terms of what do you pack and what do you leave behind, it really depends on where you're going. I find the most stuff that I brought was clothing, because I really didn't want to have to buy new clothing, but you also need to keep in mind, okay, you're going to this new country, what kind of seasons do they have? So I had to bring a winter coat. Not my Canadian winter coat because it's way too warm for England, but I bought specifically an England winter coat prior. So I wore that over. I brought a pair of sort of wintry boots. I brought flip-flops. I brought spring boots. I brought clothing for summer. I bought clothing for winter. Brought, rather, not bought. So just keeping in mind the type of seasons, the type of weather your new country is going to have, and kind of having like a little bit for each. Unless, of course, you're planning to go home that first summer, maybe. So don't really bring a lot of summer clothes because you're gonna go back home during summer. You can load up your suitcase with more stuff, and then when you come back to your new country, you'll have more stuff. You gotta find ways to be creative. Now, when you do pack your suitcases, in my instance, I had 2 giant checked bags. I packed them a couple times, and you will probably need to practice packing, because when you first do it, and even the first few times, you won't get everything in them. So you try and pack, you realize, okay, I can't fit any of this stuff. You have to take it all out, and then you have to be really critical about what you are actually bringing and what you need to leave behind. For me, any clothing that I was trying to pack, if I hadn't worn it in a full year, it's not going with me. I obviously don't like it that much, or it's not practical, or I just don't wear it. So what is the point of packing it? You take it out. I found things that were really important to pack are electronics, so laptop, camera, external hard drive, all the associated cords. If you have some adapters, if you have some adapters, bring those as well. Obviously you can buy those just about anywhere, but if you still have some, I mean, it's helpful to bring them. Medications are very important. Toiletries were also helpful. Again, you can replace toiletries, but it's nice to have some when you first get started so you don't have to run out and try and buy toothpaste and deodorant and all that kind of stuff. You already have some with you. Then, of course, your passport, your visa documents, all your other legal documents, those are extremely important. Those are really the only thing that you absolutely need to have. And I would leave photocopies of all your things with a parent or a sibling or somebody you trust back home. And I would also scan a copy onto your computer so you always have an electronic copy as well. The way I approached packing was essentially, what are the things that cannot be replaced, realistically? Medications, my legal stuff, passport, that sort of stuff. That cannot be replaced. So everything else is really a bonus. You obviously want to have clothes so you're not, running out trying to buy clothing. You want to have some toiletries so you're not running out trying to get those right away. Everything else is kind of like, well, I'm not going to bring cutlery with me. That's something that you're just going to have to buy if you're going to get a place that's unfurnished. But otherwise, take the stuff that cannot be replaced. Everything else is bonus. One of the things that I did have room for, and because I went back to Canada and then came back to England, I tend to bring quite a few stuff with me. So like this boy, You Do You, my best friend made for me. It's just a cross stitch and it's tiny, it's light, and so I brought it with me because it means something to me. It's important to me. They can't be replaced. Obviously I don't need it to survive. But it's something that makes me feel happy and it's kind of homey, so I made room for this little guy. Same with this guy. My mom bought this for me when I first moved out for college. It's like a hangy thing, basically. I had it in my room. And it's been in all the homes that I've lived in since college. It's pretty light, it's thin, it's just like a board basically. But it means a lot to me and I wanted it with me. So I made room for this boy. You just gotta do what you gotta do. Left some clothes behind because of it, but that's okay. It's really about what can you not replace. That needs to be in first, absolutely. Then everything else is a bonus. Obviously clothes are really important. Shoes take up a lot of space. You don't really think about coats. That also takes up a lot of space. And then if you want any sort of homesake kind of things, that can take up space, but it's very, at least for me, it was very meaningful, so I was happy to make the room for it. The other things that are kind of weird, I brought my own pillowcase and my own duvet cover from back home, because there's something, like, I've had them for absolute years and they're falling apart, and if I wash it too many times, they'll probably just disintegrate. But it's something about having that that's very homey and it's very comforting. And when you first move, it can be really scary, and it was just really nice to have something that was quite comforting from home. So I made the space for that because I knew it was really important to me, and I took out some extra clothing that I didn't really need to have so I could have my pillow and my duvet case. All in all, it's about being creative. You do not want to ship things from one country to the other because the price, I mean, it's cheaper to just rebuy them than try and ship them. So it's really about what is absolutely important, what cannot be replaced, that needs to go home first. Then for me, it was clothing and some homestay stuff, shoes, coats, toiletries, medications, electronics, all that sort of stuff. I didn't bring any books the first time I moved. I didn't bring any houseware type kind of stuff. I wore a lot of clothing on the plane so I didn't have to pack them. But I hope that helps for any of you guys looking to move abroad soon. If you are, all the best. It's absolutely terrifying, but you're gonna be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Take some time to pack your bags a couple times. That takes time, but it'll be fun and exciting and incredible. And you can always rebuy things, you know. There's nothing that can't be rebought other than, you know, your passport and the documents, that kind of stuff. But otherwise, everything else can be replaced. So don't stress it. Just pack the things that are most important and you'll have a great time. I just wanted to point out as well, I have started an Amazon affiliate storefront, whatever you'd like to call it. So essentially you can go onto my store and I have different lists. So some of my favorite books, some movies, my skincare favorite stuff, YouTube equipment. I'm gonna be putting some travel stuff in there, eat this goodies, Canadian stuff, all sorts of things. But essentially anytime that you click on something and then buy it, I get a couple cents back. So if there are things that you're interested in buying on my storefront, it'd be super appreciated. Otherwise, just have a look, maybe get some ideas for your next movie or your next book, and yeah, enjoy. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye!